Hello. By the end of today's video, I want you to say that I know how to use the formula y equals kx to find missing values. Okay, now this formula, it's important to know how to say this formula. So it's not just y equals kx, but the right-hand side says k times x, and that will give you the y value. Okay, so if I have the constant and I multiply it by the x, I will get the y values. Okay, so here's what we're going to be doing in today's problems. Okay, first we have to write the equation. Okay, so we're going to have to see if we can find the constant. Okay, I'm going to use y divided by x to try to find the constant. And we'll write our equation once we find the constant. Okay, so we're doing the y divided by the x. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. And 20 divided by 5 is also 4. Okay, so my constant is 4. So instead of writing y equals kx, I'm going to substitute for that k of 4. Okay, so my formula is y equals 4x. Okay, I'm going to write this down here, y equals 4x. Now we're going to move on to step 2. Okay, now we're going to use that formula to find the missing values. Okay, so here I have on the table a 6, but next to the 6 the y is missing. Okay, so that 6 is an x value, right? So in my formula, where the x is, I'm now going to substitute a 6. Okay, so I'm going to put that down here where the x is, so that I can figure out the y. Okay, so instead of 4 times x, now I have 4 times 6. Okay, remember, to find the y values, you do the constant times the x. Okay, so here, I'm just going to simplify the right-hand side. 4 times 6 is 24. Okay, so that first missing value is 24. Okay, let me split this up. I have another missing value. Okay, I also have a 12 on this table. Now that 12 is written as a y value. Okay, so let me rewrite the formula that we wrote. Y equals 4x. And this time they give me the y value. So I'm going to substitute that. I'm going to replace the y with a 12. So 12, and then I'm just going to bring down the right side, equals 4x. Now how do I solve this equation? I want to get x by itself. So I want to get rid of this times 4. I'm going to do the opposite. Opposite of multiplying is dividing. Okay, so I'm going to divide on the right 4 divided by 4, so that I would make that a 1x. And on the left, I'm also going to do divided by 4. 12 divided by 4 would make that a 3. Okay, so my missing x value here is a 3. Okay, so on the left, they gave us the x, so I put that number 6 where the x was. But on the right, they gave us the y, so I put that number 12 where the y was. Okay, so this is what we're going to be doing, practicing using this formula. Okay, so let's find the constant so that we're able to write our formula first. Okay, the y divided by the x. So I'm doing 7 divided by 2. Okay, and I'm checking on my calculator, 17.5 divided by 5 also. Okay, for both of those, I get 3.5. So my equation is y equals 3.5x. Again, we just plug that number in to the formula y equals kx. Okay, so this is the equation that I'm working with now. Y equals 3.5x. Now I'm going to use that to find the missing values. Okay, so over here they give me an x. They say that x is 3. Okay, so I'm going to go in that formula and I'm going to erase the x, and instead I'm going to substitute a 3. Okay, remember when the number and the variable are next to each other? It means that you're multiplying. Okay, so 3.5 times 3. Okay, so 3.5 times 3 should get 10.5. Y equals 10.5. Okay, on the other side, I'm going to start off with my same equation. And now they give me the y value. They say, what if y was 31.5? So I'm going to put that where the y is. Okay, so under the y, I'm going to put a 31.5 equals 3.5x. Okay, this one is harder to solve. Okay, I want to get what x equals. So I want to get rid of this 3.5. I want to turn it into a 1x, so I'm going to divide by that same coefficient. And I do that on both sides to keep my equation balanced. Okay, on the right, 3.5 divided by 3.5 is 1. I have 1x. I don't have to write that 1 in front, though. And on the left, we're going to do 31.5 divided by 3.5, and we get 9. And so that missing x value on our table is a 9. Okay, moving on, we'll do 2 more together before you try one. Okay, so first let's see if there's a constant. Remember to divide these in the right order. You're doing the y, so 4.30 divided by 2. Looks like we're getting 2.15, and again 2.15. Y equals 2.15x. Y equals 2.15x. I'm going to use that now. If x is 6, what is the y? So it's going to be 2.15 times, parentheses for times, 6. 2.15 times 6 is, looks like 12.9. Now if this were a money problem, okay, it doesn't tell us what it is, I wouldn't just write 12.9, but I would say 12.90, because that would be $12.90. Okay, so let's just pretend this is a money problem, because I see here these numbers are written to the hundreds place in the table also. Okay, so that missing y value is 12.90. Okay, let's do it one more time. Write my original equation. Now you may hear teachers say equation, substitute, and solve. Okay, so you write your original equation, you substitute whatever they give you. So here they give you the y this time. Y is 2.15, so I substitute that for the y. And then you have to solve that. Okay, so sometimes you'll hear ESS. Write your equation, substitute the number they give you, and then solve that. Okay, to get x by itself, opposite of multiplying by 2.15 is dividing by 2.15. On the right, I get 1x. On the left, I just get 1. Okay, so my x equals 1. All right, here's one more that we will do together. Okay, so hopefully now that you've done a lot of practice, finding the constant is easy. 3.2 divided by 2 and 8 divided by 5. Check those. 3.2 divided by 2, I'm getting 1.6, and 8 divided by 5, I'm getting 1.6. y equals 1.6 times x. Write my equation, ESS. Write your equation, substitute, and then solve. This time I'm going to substitute for x the number 10. 1.6 times 10, and I'm getting 16. Okay, they give me one more missing value, so let me rewrite my equation. Let me substitute. This time they say substitute in place of the y, the number 19.2. So underneath the y, I'm going to put 19.2. And then to solve this, I have to get x by itself. I have to get rid of that 1.6 by dividing it out. 19.2 divided by 1.6, and I'm getting x equals 12. All right, so it's your turn. See if you can find the constant, write your equation, and then find the missing values. Oh, actually, let me come back. This is not a good one to try, because when you divide the first two values, you get 0.7. When you divide the second one, you get a long decimal. Okay, that takes up your whole screen, so I'm going to change it into a fraction. Top left of my calculator is the second button, and then next to it's PRB. I'm going to hit second PRB, and it should tell you you're going to change fractions to decimals and decimals to fractions. Then I'll hit equals. I'm getting 2 and 6/7. 2 and 6/7. Okay, there is no constant. This is not a proportion. Okay, so I'm not going to write the equation, and we're not going to be able to find these missing values. All right, let's do one with a fraction in it, because that last one reminded me of working with fractions. Okay, so if we have to do y divided by x here, to type this y value into your calculator, there's a ABC button. It's a capital A, and then next to it, it's B/C. So I can type in 18 ABC 7 divided by 3. Okay, so 18 ABC 7 divided by 3, and it gives me the fraction 6/7. Okay, for the next one, if I do 6 divided by 7, I get a long decimal that takes up the calculator screen, so I'm going to hit second PRB, and I get 6/7. Okay. So here, we're going to do y equals 6 over 7x. We have two values to find. First one, they say, what if x is 6? Okay, so let me do 6 over 7 times 6. Again, to put that in your calculator, you're going to do 6 ABC 7 times 6. I'm getting 5 and 1/7. Okay, that U symbol, that's the way you say end. 5 and 1/7. We're not going to write the U. We're going to write the mixed number. Okay, and the other one says, well, what if the y value is 2? Find the x. So underneath the y, I'll put a 2. To get rid of that 6/7, I'm going to divide it out. So I'm going to do 2 divided by, and then 6 ABC 7. I'm getting 2 and 1/3. I think I can Squeeze that in there. 2 1/3. All right, here's one that you should be able to try. Okay, your missing y value should be 12, and your missing x value should be 2. Okay, so if you didn't get those answers, check the work below the problem. Okay, one last one to try. There are 2 missing numbers on your table. Y should be 3, and then the x is 5.6. And if you didn't get those answers, please check the work at the bottom.